It's Beat the Champ presented by Storm, and we start our month-long stay at the Town Edge Bowling Center in West Seneca, New York. Here's our lineup for today. It'll be Pete Zmozynski versus Adam Jozwiak, the winner to take on Nick Kightlinger, and the winner there to try to take the crown away from Scott Dingman, our returning champion. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Peck with Buffalo Hall of Fame bowler Sue Nawojski. We are living on the edge for the next month here at the Town Edge Bowling Center. What are we going to learn about this very traditional, very cool Western New York bowling center?
Well, this is a very special bowling center, and like you said, with a lot of history and a lot of support from the area. So we're stretching our boundaries this month. We're going from Erie, Pennsylvania, all the way to Rochester, New York.
Yeah, well, speaking of Rochester, New York, that means we bring in our returning champion, and he is Scott Dingman. You have made the trip here. You've got some new faces. You're in a new place. What's your challenge?
Getting used to the new center. I've never been here. A few shots in practice. Seems like it should be a premium on shot making, so we'll make the best shots we can and make my spares.
Well, we've got the best bowlers not only in Western New York, but all throughout upstate New York and Pennsylvania. When it comes to premium on shot making, we got the right guys. We're glad you're with us, so let's get rolling. Our first match is coming your way next. Beat the Champ is sponsored by Storm, the Bowlers Company, and by Latina Boulevard Foods, your favorite family in food distribution. And here we go. It's Pete Zmozynski versus Adam Jozwiak. First match here on our first week at the Town Edge Bowling Center on the edge of Buffalo, Cheektowaga, and West Seneca, New York, thus aptly named. But we're in a good spot. We are in a very traditional spot for this sport in this city, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go forward. That we are at the heart of what was maybe there might have been 20 bowling centers in about a 5-mile radius of where we are sitting right now, maybe in the 70s. So we're gonna have a little fun with that. Here's Adam Jozwiak to get us started with a strike.
Yeah, no nerves there for Adam. We haven't seen him on the show yet, and we're going to see these guys play the lanes quite differently, and a lot of it's pertaining to the lane condition, the shot that's been put out there.
Yeah, so let's get into that now, because for the first time on Beat the Champ, we have something other than a house shot as our oil pattern, and that is designed to maybe push these guys and challenge these outstanding bowlers a little bit. Tell us about the oil pattern, technically called the Rick Steelsmith pattern.
That's right. That is a pattern named for one of the greatest college bowlers of all time, and it's meant to test the bowler, but we're not going to see a true grind, which we like to call a shot that's really difficult to play. Pete does bowl league here, the Pete that we're just watching right now, and he says that he's playing it fairly closely to how he plays league. Just the difference is you don't have as much forgiveness to the right, you don't have as much forgiveness to the left. This is a very flat pattern, and that means you don't have that huge concentration of oil in the middle of the lane and all that dry to your right. So it tends to be a little out of bounds if you miss to the right. And if you miss in, you don't have that hold. But it's called a shot maker's pattern, and
Sure.
He just made a great shot right there.
Yeah, and didn't seem to bother Pete whatsoever. First strike for him. So it's considered a modified house shot, which means it's not all that far away from the normal house shots that we see on the show. But as you said, it's a little harder, which means the bowlers have to be a little more precise.
And if they make a good shot, you're never going to know the difference. Now we're watching them play it a little bit differently. Now Adam's going straight up the boards on the outside of the lane, which is really where you would consider that to be out of bounds. You can see his ball is very, very dull, though, which means it's absorbing quite a bit of the oil. So that dull ball gets through that heavier oil that's out there. And when I say heavier oil, I just mean heavier oil than is traditionally out there. Those tend to be very dry boards. But there's oil out on those boards, and that's why it would be considered out of bounds if you're playing deeper on the lane. You can't get it out there and get it to recover.
Does it seem to me that the break is a little later than maybe we normally see as we watch Adam's shot here?
Well, the break points are actually going to be pretty similar. They're just going to get there differently. But I can see where you're saying that. It gets well down the lane before it starts to make its move towards the pocket. And
All
that's
right.
where it's exiting the pattern.
Little work to do here in the third frame on this second shot for Adam Jozwiak. Adam is 34 years old. He is from Akron, New York. Portfolio manager is the profession. A 233 average for Adam, who bowls in one league a week.
I noticed that Adam has chosen his bowling idols as Brad Angelo and Rick Benoit, and those are bowlers who subscribe to a certain type of bowling coaching program called BowU, and it teaches them a lot about ball reaction and reading lane conditions, which is why I could see him rising to the top on this, because he has a better understanding of oil patterns based on his education.
Oh, boy.
Not a break you want to see.
No, that's not a second shot you want to see for Pete Zmozynski. We can't see his face until the very end there, but Adam Jozwiak did. What happened here?
Well, he got it out to his break point, and it came back into the pocket. But by all means, it looked like a good shot, but it was losing its energy. And when it loses energy, this is the kind of leave that you get.
Well, I'll say we haven't had a 7-10 split yet on Beat the Champ. Could have been the first one there, but it will not happen. So it's an open in the third frame for the 46-year-old from Depew, New York. Pete Zmozynski, retired as a former corrections officer, and in the upper tier of Buffalo area bowlers. He has competed at a very high level. Tournaments, 2018 Buffalo Bowler of the Year. That doesn't get much higher than that, does it?
I mean, we're talking about 72 300s and 54 800s. Those are pretty high scores.
Yeah, and Pete, for all of that, Pete can't like what has happened on the last two shots.
Well, that's the frustration of bowling on a pattern that doesn't give you a whole lot of forgiveness. I mean, it picks up every little subtlety of, I don't want to even call it an error. If it's not a repetitive shot, it'll pick it up.
So Pete has the advantage, and it's going to be back-to-back opens for Pete. Has the advantage of being a league bowler here, but with a different oil pattern than he most likely bowls in all of those league events. Does that negate his advantage?
That's an interesting point. And if I ask him, he will probably say no, because he's comfortable here. He's using the same ball he uses in league. He qualified with a pretty high score. He qualified twice. We're going to see him again in the fourth show. So I think what's different is how the lanes are going to change. Like even now, they're going to be changing quickly. And you have to be on top of that, on top of those changes. And the changes are going to be different than what he faces in league bowling.
Yeah, we have the potential a couple of weeks from now in our fourth show from here at the Town Edge Bowling Center of seeing Pete bowl against his brother. That could be a lot of fun. That'll be down the road. So after the strikes in the first two, when Adam looked like he was already dialed in, he's had to work for spares in frames 3 and 4.
And on this pattern, you can expect that spare making is going to be a little bit more of an issue. You might not see, 4 or 5 strikes strung together. It's going to be a little tougher. I mean, if you get the ball in a little bit, it's going to come up a little high. If you get the ball out a little bit, it's going to be a little bit light. We're going to have to see people make their spares, and they could be multiple pin spares, which is even more difficult. Yeah,
the clean sheet may be the gold here today, more so than pounding a whole lot of strikes.
Right, and I'd like to say you're bowling only against the other person you're bowling. You're not bowling against score. You're bowling against your opponent, and you're on the same lane condition. So if that means a lower score, that's not bad.
Pete brings a 235 average into our action today. Former high school bowler at Depew High School, which is, 5 minutes down the road from where we sit here in West Seneca.
That's where I bowled.
You're a Depew High School. You're a Wildcat graduate yourself?
I am a Wildcat.
There you go. And that's the kind of shot that we're used to seeing from Pete Zmozynski.
I think we have a few of his fellow league bowlers here from his Friday night league here at Town Edge. Happy to see him get a strike up on the board. He needs to get striking. He's down 30 pins. Oh.
So can Pete Zmozynski shake off those 2 opens and find some groove here as he stares the pins down? 6th frame.
He knew he
That
got
one
that
got
in.
way left,
Yep.
way left.
And that's what you're going to see. You can get away with that shot. We're going to look at that. He got inside of his target. He knew as soon as he threw it, he never got it out to his break point, and the ball just picked up. I mean, normally there's some oil in there that'll help push the ball to the right, and on a flat pattern like this, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, he knew it right away. So it's a spare pickup in the 6th frame for Pete Zmozynski. Good match going on. Zmozynski and Jozwiak. It's Beat the Champ, presented by Storm.
From the most humble of beginnings to the pinnacle, dreams can come true through hard work, demanding excellence, and conquering challenges. There will be celebrations, along with the unending quest for innovation. Nothing is impossible. Storm.
X Tech Bowling Supplies is committed to continuing the decades-long tradition of excellence established by the DeSanto family. We are the ultimate destination for customer service, experience, and product variety. We offer an extensive inventory of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories. Our unique fitting and drilling process, combined with our in-house lane, ensures a perfect fit every time. With a range of repair and maintenance services, we can help keep your gear performing at its best. Consult our team today at 1000 Highland Drive in the J. Scuddy South Plaza, conveniently located off of 390 in Henrietta.
From the most humble of beginnings to the pinnacle, dreams can come true through hard work, demanding excellence, and conquering challenges. There will be celebrations, along with the unending quest for innovation. Nothing is impossible. Storm.
Adam Jozwiak continued to add to his lead over Pete Zmozynski with spares in the 6th and 7th frame, and now Pete's going to have some work. He's got some time, but he's going to have to get some strikes. There you go, on cue.
Yep, that's his 2nd strike there on that right lane, so he's definitely feeling good about that lane. Again, we talked about it with this lane condition, is a little bit harder to string strikes together, and he's falling behind here 30 pins, so
he's going to have to do that.
Yep.
Yes, he's going to have to do that. 2015 runner-up to the Obenauer Masters title, which is Buffalo's most difficult and prestigious bowling tournament, and anytime you can win it, finish second, finish in the top 5 of that, you've earned it, and you have elevated yourself to another level of Buffalo bowler, and that's who Pete Zmozynski is. He's won some Buffalo City tournaments, won some Northeast tournaments, so he is an accomplished bowler at a lot of different levels.
Yeah, he sure does. He's competed in a lot of the area tournaments, nationals, state tournament, local tournaments, and he seems to have been very successful in most that he competes in.
Spare in the 8th frame. He's also the 3rd bowler we've had on Beat the Champ whose name started with the letter Z. So I love stuff like that. Zarcone and Zanone, and now Zmozynski. Top that, some other city in America with a bowling TV show that has 3 guys whose last names start with Z. I challenge you to do that.
Yeah, we do get some challenging names on this show.
Adam's got a Z in his last name too, so. So this is the 8th frame now for Adam Jozwiak.
Seems like the carry is just a little bit better on that right lane. And you can almost see on the left lane a little bit of wiggle before it hits the pocket. We'll talk about that later, but where it picks up seems to be just in the right place. It feels like it's losing a little energy in the left lane, which is making it very difficult to carry.
You know, when we were talking about the Steel Smith oil pattern here, you know, an analogy maybe for some of the folks that are watching that aren't as serious of bowlers is think of the U.S. Open golf tournament. And the way that it's set up, tighter fairways, higher rough. There's some equivalency to that.
Sure, absolutely. What a great shot. He got that one inside. There must be a little bit more hold. He definitely got that ball on purpose because he came light the last time. If you look, he crossed the 10. His angle is more right to left. And that was just a perfect shot.
So those were 2 big strikes for Adam Jozwiak, and that may have almost finished this match off, and Pete not getting the strike there maybe officially did.
I think that is going to pretty much close it out for Adam to move on.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of Pete knowing he's lost and knowing he's not happy with his performance here.
Well, he's not done, so no need to get discouraged because we'll see him in 3 weeks.
Yes, we will. And if he isn't properly inspired to beat up on his brother, who he will bowl against in 3 weeks, I don't know what else could possibly get him more ready to play. But again, Pete's one of those guys we're glad to have him on the show because if you're a Buffalo bowler, you have bowled against him or have seen him be outstanding. So, and we're always excited to get, you know, there's a core group of names that certainly you live in your world with that are the guys that compete in Buffalo tournaments and regional tournaments and are just the ones that dominate their bowling center, and Pete is in that group of bowlers.
Absolutely. And a fun guy and a popular guy, and we're happy to have his personality on the show.
And you saw his personality. Adam Jozwiak with the win. We'll get you set for match number 2, Jozwiak and Kightlinger. That's coming up next on Beat the Champ, presented by Storm. The 234-166 win moves Adam Jozwiak into our second match of the day against Beat the Champ first-timer Nick Kightlinger. This one should be good. Nick had our top qualifying score here, so we know that he's dialed in here at the Town Edge Bowling Center, and Adam just kept getting better as that first match over Pete Zmozynski moved on.
Oh, yeah. 230 on this pattern is a great score, and kind of looked at funny when I saw where he was playing because I knew he had no right and I knew he had no left, but he picked the right ball and he actually created a little room for himself. And, 230 on that is just a great start.
You told me you thought you wouldn't be surprised if the scores were closer to 210, maxing out at 220 based on the oil pattern.
I would think those were great scores, to be honest with you. It's just hard to put 2 together. And here Adam threw five in a row there at the end. So, they're definitely playable, but they're making good shots and making them look a little bit easier than they are.
So here's our first look at Nick Kightlinger, 33 years old from Erie, Pennsylvania. Made the trip here to Buffalo, about an hour or so drive. And as we mentioned, the top qualifier in the qualifying here at the Town Edge Bowling Center, 724 series. Pretty respectable numbers for a guy that, probably had never bowled here before.
Correct, and I thought it was a little interesting. I've been, watching him practice this morning, and it looks to me like he's taken a sheet out of Adam's playbook and kind of moved in the same area that Adam's had some success at. That looked a little in, but that lane has a little bit more hold in the middle of the lane. So was a good adjustment on his part.
Was it the 9-pin that does a little backward slide here into the pit for the strike?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, how about
Good
that?
Call.
I saw that.
Just
That thing
nicked
never
it.
got off the ground.
Just nicked it.
It never got off the boards, but
if
it
that
just
ball's driving harder, it leaves that pin standing. So he just caught a piece of it.
See, you're teaching me things to look for now, and I'm actually starting to pay attention and notice. That's
Look at you.
a tribute to your teaching skills.
Now that ball got all the way to the lip. If you see when the replay, take a look at it. How far to the right that ball got. Just got to the far outside. Late break.
Perfect pocket.
Perfect pocket.
Perfect
Yep.
pocket.
That is definitely when you know you have the right ball in your hand.
Yep.
And, you know, that matters. I mean, this is, like we said, a shot maker's pattern, and he has to make good shots. But the only advantage you have is technology, and having the right ball in your hand is extremely important.
15 career 300 games for Adam Jozwiak, a career-high 824 series. Western New York native from Akron, New York, bowled at Lockport for the Lockport Lions high school bowling team.
Well, this
So
is a very
certainly
impressive
ingrained in the Western New York Buffalo bowling scene. You know, Adam's been bowling since he was 6 years old, and Nick can top that. Well, actually, Nick is a late bowler. Didn't really start bowling until his 20s. We got nothing but strikes on the board
Who
here
would
with
have
these two
thought that?
guys. How
I
about
am
that, huh?
very
So much for
impressed.
that really tougher oil pattern, huh? Great bowlers say, I don't care.
And that's exactly how they should feel. The real advantage to this is when you come to try out, you're not going to have to average 260 to make the cut. I mean, this modified house pattern isn't going to make it that difficult to compete, but it's also going to tame the scores down a little bit and not force you to have to shoot 260 to make the cut.
And that ends the run of the three-bagger there for Nick Kightlinger, as he'll leave that one in the fourth frame. 245 average for Nick, whose profession is a senior web developer.
And that's really interesting because you think with his unusual style, when you see that ball bounce a little bit, when we'll look at it again the next time he's up, but the ball kind of almost looks like it double dribbles a little bit, and that's because his thumb is only halfway in, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. He put
This
his
is
thumb
really interesting. We'll get to that when Nick comes back around.
to make his spare, but it does seem like that would give you a little bit of inconsistency at the bottom because it's kind of like coming off your hand a little bit early.
Do like the bowling shirt attire adornments
Somebody
there
likes
for Adam
horses.
Jozwiak. Yeah, I love that.
Well, we talk
Right
about
now
this
he's a thoroughbred with the way he started this match.
We talk about this being a shot maker's pattern. Here he gets right to the lip again, so he is absolutely playing that shot.
Is there a particular style that fits this modified house shot oil pattern?
No.
Is
Great
there
question.
something like, oh, that guy's going to
No.
be good on it because he does this?
No, great question. That's the beauty of this shot, of a pattern like this, of a flat pattern, is you can play where you feel comfortable. You get the ball in your hand that matches up with where you want to play in the lane, but you're not pigeonholed into any particular place on the lane. As you can see, they're playing them different.
And it was great that even though it was established that this was going to be the modified house shot, we had a record 152 qualifying entries here at the Town Edge Bowling Center. So nobody was scared off by it being a little more challenging than the house shot.
It
Boy,
almost
Adam
like
was on a
people-
roll until
yeah.
you're not on a roll, right?
Again, that lane just has a little bit more tight. It's a little tighter in the middle of the lane, and
Yeah.
that kept the ball from rolling up and hitting high flush. Just hit a little bit light, left that unfortunate spare. Luckily, he had a four-bagger to start with, but now we're back to an even match.
Yeah, so the open frame in the fifth balances out the spare in the fourth for Nick Kightlinger. So now he watch the right thumb. As he put it, he goes, when we asked him, do you use your thumb? And he goes, I'm about a half thumb bowler.
Right, which the USBC rule is that if there is a hole in the ball, you have to use it. So I think this is kind of like stretching the rules a little bit by only putting it halfway in, but he did get USBC approval, so he was questioned in his leagues by that.
And another winning reaction shot that we bring to you here on Beat the Champ.
You know, when you have something like that, like putting your thumb halfway in, I'm not sure how that got started, but you are giving up, a little bit of control on the ball because you don't have as good a grip on it. Your timing becomes very, very important. On that last shot, his feet got quick, and the ball just flew off his hand early, and you could see where if your timing gets off just in the slightest, that lack of control that you have by having half a thumb and is going to show up.
So he's not a traditional bowler, and he's not a two-handed bowler. He's a hybrid of the two a little bit.
That was a great shot right there.
Yeah, and that's a good strike in the sixth. We'll talk more about Nick's style, but right now we're in a great match. Adam and Nick Beat the Champ, presented by Storm, coming to you from the Town Edge Bowling Center.
The Western New York area has long been considered one of the best anywhere for the sport of bowling.
And no matter where you live, we have lanes nearby.
For top competition,
Fun with family and friends,
great food and drink, or just a night out, we got you.
we are
The bowling proprietors.
of Western New York.
Stop in and enjoy our sport today.
I'm Paul Peck.
And I'm Nawojski. We want to see you out here bowling for the top spot on Beat the Champ.
So get to any of our great host centers and get the details on how you can be a part of the show and be our next winner.
And don't miss any of the action here on MSG every week.
Yeah, so check out the show next week or get out there and qualify and be our Beat the Champ winner.
We're back in West Seneca, New York. It's our second match of the day here on Beat the Champ, presented by Storm. Either Adam Jozwiak or Nick Kightlinger will advance on to take on our returning three-time champion, Scott Dingman. But we got a lot of good bowling first to figure that out, because these guys are in a great battle between the two of them. Now, they both stumbled a little bit here lately, so now for Adam, coming off an open in the fifth frame, he's got to find his groove again.
Yeah, they both had an open in the fifth frame, which kept this match under 10 pins. Adam still with a little bit of a lead, but it wasn't due to a bad shot. He had a pocket 7-10, which unfortunately was a bad break. So he hasn't lost the pocket at all, as he's shown right here by, striking in the sixth frame.
You saw from that great camera angle just how close he's playing up that right-hand side. Not that close, but close.
Very close, right. And that shot there didn't get as far right as the other ones did, and still rolled up nicely. So I like his choice of where he's played on the lanes and his ball choice. It's given him a little bit more room than I would have thought.
Just missed the pocket to the right.
Yeah, this left lane is our challenge. There is definitely more oil in the middle of the lane, or down the lane, not even where it traditionally is. I mean, it seems like it's got pushed down the lane already, probably because Pete played the lanes a little bit differently. And on synthetics, you will get some splash. So you will see the lanes change, and there is a little bit oil in the middle of the lane down, which is proving to be a challenge for these guys. Tough spare. Nice cover.
Well done. Good pickup in the seventh frame
getting
for
that
Adam
sleeper
Jozwiak.
out.
Why was that one tough? Because of the sleeper?
It's because the sleeper in the back, and this lane's going a little bit longer, which could make the ball wiggle and not. It's going to have to make contact with that back pin in order to get it. So that was a great pickup.
67 300 games for Nick Kightlinger, an 874 high series, which is the house record at the Eastland Bowl in Erie, Pennsylvania. Again, this is a guy that didn't start bowling until his 20s, and he's already rattled off all of those things. He's won some scratch doubles tournaments in Pennsylvania, finished second in a big singles tournament down there. So, boy, whatever Nick has figured out with that somewhat unusual style of his, it's working.
Yeah, that was a great shot. He now took the lead in this match, which is the first time Adam's been down.
So as we continue to talk about the style there, if you're a two-hander, you don't have a thumb hole bowl drilled in your bowl.
Correct,
right?
You don't have it.
To conform with those rules.
Because you have to use it if you had it.
But Nick does, and that's why we talk about that half thumb.
Excellent adjustment there, too, on the lane with just a little bit more oil, a little bit deeper. A little bit deeper on the lane than he is on the right lane. But let that ball roll up. Yep, he knew it. So on the spare ball, now if you watch Nick throw a spare, he does put his thumb completely into the ball. But if you were a two-hander and didn't have that thumb hole in the ball, you could use a spare ball with a thumb hole. As long as you use the holes, you can have, you can switch back and forth.
Good bounce back strike from Adam Jozwiak.
Great shot.
We've got a lot of first-time Beat the Champ bowlers, not only today but in our ensuing shows coming up, and it's just great to see these guys just roll right in here and not be fazed by any of this and just bowl well like they always do.
I know there was a lot of league bowlers that participated and was a part of the show. We've got a few guys here today that are leagues, but we have a few other people that have nothing to do with that. So,
that's an ugly leave rather for Adam.
Yep. They need a little bit of touch on this left lane to get the ball to roll up sooner, and he was very firm through that shot. It went through his break point, tried to make its move way too late.
Oh, almost. You heard the crowd react. They saw that almost being an amazing spare pickup.
Well, he went from looking unbeatable to, this left lane changing just enough to be a challenge for him.
Yeah, this sport will do this to you. When he's open with 4 consecutive strikes, and since then it's been 2 opens and a spare, and that has allowed Nick Kightlinger to take the lead, and now with a chance to finish it off.
Ooh, he's got a little bit of area.
That was a slow motion strike.
That is the lane that is giving a little bit more forgiveness. But he got that one to the right down the lane, a little bit further down than what his break point has been.
If those pins fell any slower, we'd have to take a commercial break in between. And I think his reaction showed that, that wasn't perfect and that wasn't great, but I got the same result.
And it secured the match for him.
They ask you how many in this sport, right?
Yep. It secured the match for him, too, so it was an important shot. That makes this one a little bit easier.
Yeah, that's more of the classic from what we've seen from Nick Kightlinger. So we're headed towards a final match that does not include a bowler from Buffalo. We'll talk about that more in a moment, but that's great. That just shows you how important this sport is, not just in this city, but in the surrounding areas. And it's Erie, Pennsylvania's Nick Kightlinger that's going to advance to our championship mat and do it in style. It'll be Kightlinger and Dingman final match coming your way next. Our host center for Beat the Champ, presented by Storm, is Town Edge Bowling Center. You can follow them on Facebook at Town Edge Bowling Bar and Grill. They are just one of our many great host centers. And if you want details on how to be a part of Beat the Champ, just stop in at any of our host centers and ask them, hey, how can I be on the show? And we might be seeing you here on the lanes like we're seeing these guys. Rochester's Scott Dingman, Erie, Pennsylvania's Nick Kightlinger. It's our championship match, week 1 here at the Town Edge Bowling Center, and just an example of how this sport is a regional sport, not just Buffalo, New York, but these guys want to be a part of the high-level bowling that goes on this show.
That's right. I think the word is out because we're getting people from further away every time we come to a new center.
That's 8 straight strikes now from the last match into the first of this one for Nick Kightlinger.
Very impressive.
Scott Dingman is our returning champion. He has won 3 weeks in a row. He was our champion last week as we wrap things up at the Tonawanda Bowling Center.
Now take notice, he's our first left-hander that's played out there today. So he's bowling on a completely fresh shot other than his practice balls, what he's thrown here. This side will play similar, but it's had no play, not the amount of practice that the right-hand side has. So, that could be a good thing. It could be a little tougher thing.
So what's the bigger adjustment for Scott? A bowling center that he hasn't bowled at ever before, or a different oil pattern that he has not bowled on, at least in the setting of this show in his previous 3 weeks.
Well, the good thing for Scott is he has been around and he is, part of the Rochester Hall of Fame, which means he's seen a lot. Not a very good shot there. I think his feet got a little fast on him. As you can see, he kind of popped up, so that's more of an indication that he got a little quick. Did not like that at all.
No.
But, I think that the biggest challenge is you're coming from Rochester, and no doubt you have a house full of bowling balls, because all bowlers do, and you've got to pick which ones you're going to bring with you. And, house pattern balls tend to, be what you use all the time. Sometimes when you bowl on these flatter patterns, stuff that you never, ever use is the stuff that rolls good for you. I know whenever we go to tournaments, the stuff that we use in league all the time ends up being completely out of play. So I think the biggest challenge is what equipment are you bringing for a shot that you have not bowled on? And
there are balls for patterns that you would say, okay, I know I'm bowling on this pattern. I'm going to take these balls with me.
Correct. But most of the stuff that we have drilled up, and there's another great shot from him right there, most of the stuff that the bowlers have drilled up is for the stuff that you're going to bowl on every single week. Why would you have something that didn't work where you're spending most of your time? So you either find something that you haven't, that rolls not so great on your house patterns, or drill something up new when you go to a tournament, because they're probably not going to be the same bowling balls that you use at home.
That's a big, wide, swooping strike from Nick Kightlinger. That's now 10 strikes in a row over the last 2 matches.
Yeah, he is very comfortable and very lined up.
Locked in. Scott Dingman's 53 years old, from Rochester, on-site representative for the Granger Company. Current average of 247, and as you mentioned, a Rochester Bowling Hall of Famer. And as we've gotten to know Scott, and this is now his 5th appearance on our show, he is very methodical, he is very thought out, and he's just good. 247 and 233 in the last 2 appearances here on the show.
Yeah, that was a really good shot right there. I mean, not that far off from his first shot. He left a 7-pin. I think he's on the left-hand side. Like we said, we didn't get a whole lot of play over there. I noticed him falling off his feet. That's probably not optimum. He probably wants to get a little better footing. That was better. Much better.
Back-to-back strikes for Scott Dingman to get himself back in the groove of this match, but he's chasing the guy making all the strikes right there. That's Nick Kightlinger.
Much solider at the line on that shot.
Yeah, a little fist pump from Scott Dingman. So now let's see what the 33-year-old from Erie, PA can continue this hot streak. He can.
Well, he is loose as a goose. He feels like he's got the whole lane out there. But he is playing them a little bit different, and he has the nuances of each lane down pat right now.
He just strikes me as a very calculating bowler. You can almost see the wheels turning as he sort of thinks and eyes what he wants to do.
And a knowledgeable bowler. We were talking earlier before the show and talking about this oil pattern and the obstacles with it, but you still can't get it in on that lane.
So that ends that run of strikes. First 4 in this match, 11 overall in a row coming up the last match, and he got a little lucky that last pin fell. So it's still a challenging 8-10 split.
One of the more difficult spares to make. And he's just going for and
he missed them both.
Looked like he was taking that as an opportunity to try to practice the 10-pin, since, you may turn up leaving one. In case you need to make a match, right?
Yeah.
Make it to win.
In case that might happen before we're done here today.
Probably pretty wise on his part.
So again, just the craziness of this sport is you can rattle off a whole bunch of strikes, and then you wind up with an open frame where you only get 8.
Right. Well, I do want to say that when you are on a double, you want to make sure you get maximum pin count. So I don't think his idea was to miss that, because it can come down to that. When you're on a double, that pin is doubled. So you want to make sure you get maximum pin count when you're on multiple strikes. Back to Scott here.
Yep. So Scott's got to pull off the 2-pin here. I think he knew it, huh? I think he knew it when he turned around and didn't even watch it.
The biggest thing that these patterns create is they create doubt. And when you know you don't have room and you can't miss right and you can't miss left, that plays on you. And you can't think about it that way. You just got to think about execution, hitting your target. But it's real hard not to let those thoughts not sneak into your head about, oh, I can't get it a little bit right, I can't get it left. Because those negative thoughts make you do exactly what you're thinking not to do.
And again, that one just died right at the end, and again leaves Scott a rather challenging sixth frame spare pickup.
Yeah, that was inside.
All the momentum just goes right there. All right, so we're swapping out open frames here, which means it's a tight one. Kightlinger and Dingman. We continue our championship match when you return.
From the most humble of beginnings to the pinnacle, dreams can come true through hard work, demanding excellence, and conquering challenges. There will be celebrations, along with the unending quest for innovation. Nothing is impossible. Storm.
XXX Tech Bowling Supplies is committed to continuing the decades-long tradition of excellence established by the DeSanto family. We are the ultimate destination for customer service, experience, and product variety. We offer an extensive inventory of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories. Our unique fitting and drilling process, combined with our in-house lane, ensures a perfect fit every time. With a range of repair and maintenance services, we can help keep your gear performing at its best. Consult our team today at 1000 Highland Drive in the J. Scuddy South Plaza, conveniently located off of 390 in Henrietta.
Down the stretch of our championship match between Nick Kightlinger and our 3-time returning champion, Scott Dingman, and we are in a tight match right now. And it's a question of which of these guys is going to take control on the backside frames here as Nick Kightlinger eyes up the pins on his 6th frame.
Well, he can move up 20 just by filling this frame, and this is his good lane.
It sure is.
That was a late fall in 7-9 right there. The ball's starting to bite up just a little bit. So he's using that same part of the lane, but that one made it's hooked more in the back end. Yeah, so, the lanes are going to change. I mean, there's getting a lot of play on them, and they're playing the same. Him and Adam played that same part of the lane, so that lane is going to break down. So fortunately for him, he didn't leave the 7 or the 9, and he can make a little move there with no jeopardy.
And ring around the 10-pin won't send that one down.
Yeah, we talk about the different kind of 10 pins there are. That one, if we get a chance to see it again, that's one that we would call flat. But he did get his practice shot last frame on this, so hopefully he uses that to his advantage.
Good for you pointing that out, because he certainly did. So a spare in the 7th frame for Nick Kightlinger. And he has the lead right now, and it's going to be up to Scott to try to chew into that as we make our way to the 7th frame. 54 800 series, 85 career 300 games for the Rochester Bowling Hall of Famer, Scott Dingman. We saw him bowl against his son a couple of months ago here on Beat the Champ. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, big shot right there. He needs that builder to cut, like you said, chew into that lead.
He thought that was a little bit to the right, maybe.
Yeah, you're right. He did not like that. It looked good to me. I still think he's a little unsteady at the line, and whether he's struggling with his shoes.
Was he having a little trouble with slipping and sliding a little bit?
Yeah, I think he's having a little trouble with his shoes on the approaches. Big double.
That's 2 in the 7th and the 8th frame for Scott Dingman. Put the pressure right back on Nick Kightlinger.
Yep, that cuts that lead to 10. That one he liked a little bit more.
When we get a hop out of Scott, that's usually an indication that he likes it.
I love that slap out. I miss my hands when I try to do it, so I don't even try to do it. Great adjustment.
Way right, but back where it needed to be.
He had to make an adjustment because that ball was going to go high very quickly after he saw that read in the last time he was on this lane. Ten-pin match now.
You
Here
heard
it
the
comes.
groan of the crowd.
Another good shot. That one was not quite as flat as the last one, but still a little flat.
So that really opens the door for Scott Dingman. It keeps him in this match. So Nick's got to finish strong here, and he gets the 9th frame spare.
Excellent spare. I feel like he's been a little bit shaky on the 10-pin, and that one was very solid.
All right, so can Scott Dingman, who has won 3 weeks in a row, start to get towards our current record of 5 wins in a row held by Derek Green? If he can finish this one out, he'll get to 4.
Did not like that.
Nope. 4 and the 7 won't go down.
No, that was a critical shot for him, and he missed inside his target. This is where we talk about this being shot making. That was definitely 2 boards right of what he's been trying to hit. Didn't want to chop that one.
So the spare pickup in the 9th for Dingman.
Well, even though he didn't shut him out, we're still only have a 12-pin match here, so this 10th frame is huge for both guys.
Who's going to be our champion here in Buffalo? Will it be the Rochester Bowler or the Erie PA Bowler?
Yeah, keeping in mind that the tournament high qualifier got to pick where he was to finish, so he actually chose this lane.
The exact same leave, 2nd frame in a row for Scott.
Yeah, he's been pulling the ball a little bit.
So one more fill ball. The fill ball here for Scott.
Very important, you know, we want to get a maximum pin count here to force Nick to get maximum pin count. Well, he liked that one, walked right away from it.
Good strike by Scott Dingman to post up a 200. So Nick Kightlinger needs 9 pins here to win and become our champion, ending the 3-week run of Scott Dingman. Hey, if you're going to drive in from Erie, PA, you want to stick around for a little while. 9 pins to win. Oh, no. Wow.
Okay.
So if Nick gets 2 pins here, we have a tie.
Right, he does not want to go for this because if you try to make it, it's too risky. You got to take the 2 and go for the tie.
So it is a 200 tie between Nick and Scott. 1 shot roll-off to determine our champion. It's the second time this season on Beat the Champ presented by Storm that we have had a tie, and that's the look of a guy who did not want to be in a tie. What's the old cliche? Ties are like kissing your sister. I don't know if Nick has a sister. He didn't want to kiss anybody right now.
No, and he didn't. No, that was unexpected.
So a one-shot roll-off.
And Scott gets to choose as the high qualifier or as the tournament incoming champ, and he has chosen to go back on this left lane and take the first shot.
And it's 9 pins. So a strike for Nick Kightlinger wins this. So a strike wins. 9 pins means we roll off again. 8 pins means Scott Dingman's the winner.
Well, here's the theory behind this. Nick is going up on this same lane that Scott was on, and he wanted to keep Nick off his good lane, which is the right lane. This is the more challenging lane for the right-hander.
And it's a strike for the win.
Well deserved, well deserved. That is not an easy lane.
Nick Kightlinger with a hug for his opponent, Scott Dingman, and that is your new Beat the Champ winner. We'll talk to Nick when we return to the Town Edge Bowling Center in West Seneca, New York. It's Beat the Champ.
The Western New York area has long been considered one of the best anywhere for the sport of bowling.
And no matter where you live, we have lanes nearby.
For top competition,
Fun with family and friends.
Great food and drink, or just a night out, we got you.
We are the bowling proprietors
of Western New York.
Stop in and enjoy our sport today.
I'm Paul Peck.
And I'm Nawojski.
We want to see you out here bowling for the top spot on Beat the Champ.
So get to any of our great host centers and get the details on how you can be a part of the show and be our next winner.
And don't miss any of the action here on MSG every week.
Yeah, so check out the show next week or get out there and qualify and be our Beat the Champ winner.
Beat the Champ is sponsored by Storm, the Bowlers Company, and by the Bowling Proprietors Association of Western New York. Stop in and enjoy our sport today. High drama here at the Town Edge Bowling Center makes Nick Kightlinger our champion on the roll-off. So you had a chance to finish it out. Before that, what's going through your mind there?
Don't throw a split, and then I threw a split. And I'm like, okay, I need at least 2 to tie, and luckily I was able to get the 2, but yeah, that was nerve-wracking.
Yeah, and then how about on the roll-off, right? You get to go second. It's always better to know what it is you have to win by.
Yeah, he actually put me on my good lane. In my opinion, the left lane was actually pretty good. And I just couldn't carry a few of those frames, like the 6th and 8th frame or whatever it was. I just go out there and throw the same shot and pray you carry. That's what happened.
Well, and guess what? We're going to see him again on next week's show. A lot of fun here representing Erie, Pennsylvania, right, Sue?
Well, yeah.
We got an Erie, PA bowler who's looking good. It's a great start to our stay here at the Town Edge Bowling Center. We'll see Nick next week. We'll see you, too, on Beat the Champ, presented by Storm.